Now, the important thing to realize is that energy that you are receiving in sex, that you're soaking up into your system, that is created in your system through all these senses, is not necessarily good energy. You know, just because you're having sex, it doesn't make it good. This is another fallacy we have in our culture, that basically we see a state of sexual well-being as you having a frequent sex life. If you have sex in your relationship, that means, you know, you are well sexually. Well, not necessarily. When I say that sexual energy is really powerful and sex has a massive impact on your well-being, on your life, I don't mean positive. I just mean it is powerful. It can be positive. It can be just as powerfully negative. You can create really blissful and really positive, healing, restorative states during sex. You can likewise activate the hell out of your the negative feelings in your system, all the feelings of alert and disconnect and frustration and all the negative energy and the feelings of conflict. You can feel abused, abandoned, unloved, undesired. You can feel unsafe, anxious, you can feel anything in sex. These are also really profound neurological states and brain states. Now, there's a multiplication factor here, that it's not just a state you're in, you're worried about your work, or, you know, you're happy that you got yourself a chocolate. You are with somebody, with a person. It is very intimate. It is multiplied, it is much more powerful, it affects you so much more when it is from another person. And it affects you so much more when it is somebody significant, like it is your partner, or at least somebody that you really fancy. And then there is a second multiplier. You know, how frequently are you doing this? How many times have you had sex in a particular way with this person that has created certain feelings, a certain impact on your nervous system? So basically, the way you have to think about how sex affects your well-being is a little bit like nutrition. It would be wrong to say that nutrition is good for you. I mean, nutrition is only good for you if you are starving on an island. But if we are taking the perspective of, you know, nutrition in your life, for your productivity, for your energy, for longevity, for your well-being, then it's what kind of nutrition you're having. Is it good food? Is it bad food? So it's kind of similar with sex. You can have good nutrition into your system. You can have bad nutrition into your system. And because it goes so deep into your psyche and it really affects, you know, your inner states, it's going to have a massive impact on you. So another fallacy, you know, in our sex culture, that we consider having sex as being well and not having sex as being, you know, unwell. Actually, not having sex can be a little bit neutral. Of course, there is an element of malnourishment that is more pronounced for some people than for others. Some people are totally fine with it. They don't notice it. Other people really feel the tensions or the absence of that energy in their life. And of course, we can argue that, you know, you are not receiving that really positive influx, so it's not contributing to your life, so you are not getting that energy in your life. On the other hand, you're also not getting anything negative from it. And arguably, much worse than having no sex is having sex that is actually toxic for you, that is bringing negative energy into your well-being and into your system. So toxic sex is quite easy to illustrate with an example of sexual assault or sexual abuse, where these are also forms of sex, but they are extremely traumatic, extremely destructive for one's psyche, and the impact of them obviously is huge in one's life. So this just brings it home, the way, you know, sex really affects one in their lives. But we can bring it back to the mild versions of toxic sex, which are so abound, and so many people are having toxic sex that is, you know, little by little brings more and more toxicity into one's relationship. It's very common to have it in your relationships. People are just doing something in sex that is kind of irritating, or it makes you feel kind of misunderstood or unloved, or just worked, or they're just fucking you, or they just don't understand you, they don't make an effort, or they pester you, or they chase you, or they're doing things in an irritating way for your body or for your feelings while they're having sex. Or they have some kind of an obsessiveness with a particular thing that you feel coerced or pressured into. So that can be just constant toxicity that flows into your system. It will be affecting you. And then there is the element of depletion, Or nourishment, that's another axis to consider in the well-being of sex. Your whole system, your physiology, your psyche can be in a state of depletion from the kind of sex you're having. Maybe it's too much intensity or too much shedding through orgasms, or just too much activity unnecessarily, and it's not in a restorative state when it is building up its physiology and its resources. And then another axis to consider is, well, are we having sex that might not be toxic, but does it actually have anything in it? Are we just mechanically stimulating to get to the orgasm? We are feeling no real energy in that moment, no real love, no real connection, none of that kind of real blissfulness or aliveness in your body. We are just stimulating a nerve. So it's hollow. It's basically food without any nutrition. You're expecting nutrition from it, you're not getting it. You keep practicing sex in a way that is not delivering what you really wanted out of your sexual relationship. That in turn causes effects in your life and how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your relationship, etc. So when you have sex, you really need to understand what is the nutritional value of it, how it really affects your well-being. You need to learn the practices that will keep it well, that will keep giving you that really positive energy, that will affect your well-being in a positive way that you can benefit from. And you need to be aware of what are the things you might be doing that might be depleting or not particularly nourishing, or even toxic in some ways for your sex and for your relationship.